Changing habits, reaching your goals can be so fun, so easy, and so smooth when you understand how your brain works and how you can become a team player with your brain so you don't have to work against it. The concept of willpower means you need to move against friction. And where does the friction come? It comes from your mind because you're pushing it to do something it doesn't want to do, and that isn't very efficient. So you need to know a few things about your brain in order to understand how you become a team player and how you create all that change without using willpower. So listen closely. Every thought, every feeling, emotion, everything you do throughout the day is run by the patterns in your unconscious mind. And your mind is so happy whenever you repeat those patterns. And whenever you try to do something new, like change a habit and do something unknown, which you haven't done before, your brain reacts by saying, "Ooh, I don't like this. I want to have you going back to the old patterns." And why? Why is that? Well, your brain has one priority. It's to keep you safe. How does it keep you safe? Well, by moving you away from danger and towards safety. Well, what is dangerous and what is safe? The brain doesn't always know. So the brain will put everything which is potentially dangerous into the dangerous category. That means everything it doesn't know what is, everything that is new, everything that is unknown, because it could potentially be dangerous. The brain doesn't know, and it doesn't really have time to analyze everything, okay? So whenever there's anything new in your life, your brain will go, "Ooh, that's a potential danger." And it will create uncomfortable emotions connected to that thing, that habit, whatever it is you're trying to do. It can be a thought, it can be a feeling, like emotion you want to produce. It can be a thought you're practicing. It can be a habit, doing something. It can just be changing who you are, changing your identity. If it's something new, unknown, which you haven't thought before, which you haven't felt before, which you haven't done before, your brain will go, "Ooh, that's scary because it's new. I don't know what it is. It could be dangerous." So I'll create all of these extra stress hormones, because if there's a danger there, you should be alert so that you could survive in a dangerous situation. And whenever there are uncomfortable emotions, whenever there's stress, your brain goes, "Ooh, danger. I don't like that because my job is to keep you safe. So I'll do whatever I can to move you towards where you have all the good emotions, the good feelings." And where do we have those good feelings? Well, all the old patterns, they create good feelings. Even though they are patterns, they're habits that you don't like. Maybe it is lying on the couch, eating chocolate or chips or whatever. It doesn't make you happy afterwards. Maybe it makes you really sad. Still, your brain thinks it's the best idea in the world because at least it knows everything about that habit. There are no surprises. It knows exactly what is going to happen. So your brain creates a lot of good emotions connected to all the old habits because they are safe. At least your brain thinks so. And you need to know this in order to understand how you become a team player with your brain so that you can stop using willpower, because using willpower will only make you go back to scratch, back to where you started. It will make you fail, and here's why. When you're using willpower, you are going against the will of your brain. The will of your brain is to keep you safe. It's the number one priority. When you're trying to do something new, your brain and your body will create all those stress chemicals, and your brain will go, "Ooh, I don't want that." And it will use all the forces available to it to move you towards something else. And you're going, "No, wait a minute. I just have to be stronger because I have willpower. I'll use willpower," and go against those emotions, against the drive of your mind. And when I'm speaking about your mind, it is really your brain. Well, the brain is a part of your mind, and your mind is everything. It's all of you. And when your mind decides that this is dangerous, I don't want you to do it, I want you to do this instead, it will push, it will push, it will push. And do you know what tools your mind uses to push you towards something? It uses emotions. And you're not aware of it, but every second of the day, you're constantly feeling an emotion. It's either something uncomfortable or it's something pleasant, and you're constantly moving away from the uncomfortable stuff towards the pleasant stuff. So by thinking that you can overpower these emotions, which is the language and the tools that the mind uses in order to drive you wherever it thinks it's safe for you, those are the strongest forces in the universe. hours, really. And I'm sure you've tried to change a habit and you just decided, I'm going to do that. And the plan is to do this. And maybe for a day or two or a week or three, you manage to do your new habit. And one day, without even knowing it, you're doing the old habit again and you weren't even aware of it. Or maybe you've experienced that you had a plan and there was just like something came over you, have no idea what, and you were helpless and you were just driven towards that old habit. And this is the power of your mind. It will do that. It will drive you. And why? Why is that power so strong? Well, it is because it thinks you're going to die, okay? Your mind thinks you're going to die when you're doing that new thing. So by using willpower, you're saying, okay, I think that the power of my conscious brain, which is 5%, will overpower the unconscious part of the brain, which is the rest of the 95%. And can you see that this is not very logical? How can you, by using 5% of your brain, overpower 95%? Well, you can't, at least not in the long run. So some of us are born with more willpower than others. It has to do with wiring and DNA. And yes, we are different. And still, the person who is the strongest with the most willpower, they can't go on forever only using willpower. It's not sustainable and it's not gonna give that everlasting result. So what is going to give you that everlasting result? How are you going to change those habits, reach your goals without using willpower? Doing it in a fun manner where it's easy and smooth and just flows. Okay, so here's how you do it. Remember that your mind will drive you towards wherever there are good emotions and away from the uncomfortable ones. Well, how can you use that to your advantage? This process is automatic. So if you just reprogram what you feel about those new habits and maybe even reprogram what you feel about the old habits, you will automatically drive towards the new habits without having to use willpower, without having to go against the friction. A great mental technique we use in order to change what we feel about something is working with our inner dialogue. So what words are you actually using when you're describing this new habit? What thoughts do you have about it? So some words create a feeling of dread, a feeling that it's something uncomfortable, stressful, and some words do the opposite. So for example, if you use the words, I must do this, or I should have done that, that is automatically something negative for your brain because it creates a feeling that you don't have a choice, like you're trapped in some way, and that's stressful for your brain. So by using words like I have to do this and I should have done that, you are draining the motivation, you're creating a lot of negative emotions, and negative emotions, your brain will go like, ooh, no, I don't want to be part of that. And it's going to move you away from that. So be aware of the words you're using, okay? And a lot of people are perfectionists. I don't know if that is you. And if it is, listen here, because perfectionism is just a sign of low self-esteem. Your brain thinks that you're in danger. If you don't feel that you're very valuable, your brain thinks you're in great danger, and it wants you to be more valuable so that you can be secured, so that you can be connected to your tribe. Your brain thinks that if you're not valuable enough, the tribe might kick you out. So that's like super dangerous. So perfectionism is a survival strategy, okay? So if you are a perfectionist, you need to build your self-esteem, period, okay? You are valuable. I know that you're valuable, and I want you to know that you are valuable. And as soon as you start to realize that you're valuable, you don't put your value in the outer things, in how you perform, how you look, how much you produce. As soon as you realize that you are valuable, you can take the perfectionists and just get rid of it, okay? Throw it away. And what happens when you practice those perfectionist patterns? Well, very often, well, not very often, all the time, you won't be happy with yourself. You won't be satisfied. And as a result of that, you'll judge yourself, you'll criticize yourself, you'll feel guilty, you'll feel shame. And you hear that even by talking about this negative emotion rises, right? So picture yourself criticizing yourself, beating yourself up is because you're not perfect enough. What happens on the inside? Well, your brain goes, this is real uncomfortable. I don't like it. This is dangerous. And if I'm not good enough, if I'm not perfect enough, it's super dangerous. I might die. So it just creates all of those stress hormones. And what happens when you create those stress hormones? You move away from it. I had a client once who asked me, and again, what can I do in order to keep the promise I made to myself? And I said, well, tell me, what's the issue? And she said, well, you know what? I promised myself that I would go to the gym in the morning, and it was okay those the days that I went together with a friend. Although the days where I was going to go alone to the gym, I ended up not going. I ended up drinking my morning coffee, scrolling on my phone, and suddenly it was too late to go. And this happened again and again. How can I change this around, and what can I do in order to keep my promise to myself? And I said, okay, so listen here. When you had told yourself that you were going to go to the gym and you ended up not going, what did you tell yourself? What were your thoughts? Did you judge yourself? Did you criticize yourself? Did you beat yourself up? What was your inner dialogue? And she confessed, yeah, she felt really ashamed. She felt guilty. She felt so bad. She felt that she was good for nothing, etc., etc., etc. So picture this. The new habit, going to the gym in the morning, already stressful because it's new, okay? And there are other people there. It's only in the morning. There's so many layers of stress there. So it's already uncomfortable. The mind notices that this is a new habit. It's potentially dangerous. I'll push you towards doing whatever gives you those nice emotions. Scrolling on the phone, drinking coffee. It's very comfortable. It produces a lot of dopamine. Let's stay here. It's safe. Okay. And what happens next? She criticizes herself. By criticizing herself, she adds another layer of stress on top of the already stressful habit. Next day, she's like, but yeah, tomorrow morning, I will go to the gym. I will make this happen. A new morning, and the brain remembers there's now even 2 layers of stress connected to this new habit and this activity. Do you get where we're going? So what happens? It's even double the stress than the day before. The brain goes, ooh, I don't want to be part of that. Let's go to where I can find the good emotions, scrolling on the phone, drinking coffee, and all that good stuff. And again, same thing happens. And what does she do? She criticizes herself even more. She feels so guilty. Why can't I do this? And she's adding a 3rd layer of stress to that habit. Now, how easy will it be for her to turn it around? Well, it wasn't until we had that chat and I told her to change her inner dialogue around so that she could create positive emotions connected to that activity, to the new habit. So I told her to instead use words like, I want to, I get to go to the gym, I like to go to the gym. Or if that is too much for your brain, maybe just say, I like the feeling it gives me afterwards. And I told her how to practice self-care and self-love because, yeah, there will be days when we are not perfect because we're all humans, okay? And how do you react in the best manner in order to stay on your path? Well, it is with self-love, with care, with acceptance. You're human and you will deviate from the path. I never call anything a failure because there is no failure. Everything teaches you a lesson. And as long as you think about something as a failure, what happens on the inside? You create more of those stress hormones, which moves you away from it. It also reduces your self-esteem and your confidence, your belief in yourself. How can you believe in yourself when you're constantly criticizing yourself, right? That doesn't match. So if you want to be confident, you want to believe in yourself, if you want to enjoy good self-esteem, you need to start to accept yourself and accept all parts of you, even the parts you're not proud of because you're human. And as long as you're criticizing yourself, hitting yourself in the head and just feeling ashamed, judging yourself, you're not going to reach your goals because you are going to create so much negativity connected to those goals that you're going to move away from them, and you're going to need some comfort. And the comfort will be in the old habits because it's so uncomfortable for your brain to be a place where you are criticizing yourself, okay? It's the most dangerous thing. Your brain actually thinks that you will die. If you criticize yourself, that means you're not happy about yourself, that you're not good enough. Your brain thinks, oh, if I'm not good enough, I'm in great danger, because if I'm not good enough, the tribe can kick me out. I need to be perfect. I need to be better. I need to be valuable in order to secure my slot in the tribe. So it is really a game of survival. Your brain is so afraid that you are going to die. And the only way you turn this around is by starting to accept yourself, is starting to talk positively about the things you want to do and about yourself. Believe in yourself and work on that inner dialogue. You won't be perfect from day one. Maybe you're practicing a new skill. I go out every day surfing. I started surfing 10 years ago and I'm still not perfect. I will never be perfect. And I have days where nothing works. And I work so diligently on where I put my focus. Do I focus on the waves I'm not catching? Or do I focus on what I have learned since I started? Whatever you focus on determines how you feel, and how you feel determines your behavior. If you want to reach your goals, you need to make sure that you create positive emotions connected to yourself and the things you want to do. And when you do that, it's going to happen automatically. So what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on your shortcomings, or are you focusing on what you've actually managed, your qualities, your skills, what you're good at? And are you focusing on failure like we often do? Or are you telling yourself that there is no failure, that you learn from everything you do? And let me tell you one thing. If you are perfect, if you're like really perfect, that means there was no more evolution in your life. There was no more progress. And I'm going to tell you a secret. If you don't move, if there's no evolution, if there's no progress in your life, you can't be happy. So we often confuse happiness for reaching a goal and being perfect. And the truth is that when you reach the goal, and if you were to come to a place where you were perfect, it would mean stagnation. It would mean no evolution, no development, no learning, no progress. And you can't be happy if you're not developing, if there's no progress. So really, 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 you need to turn, if you're still stuck in that fixed mindset of going, oh, I failed, I'm not good enough, etc., etc., you need to stop that and change it around immediately. Okay, you need to start to accept yourself, tell yourself great things, really build. How you build confidence and self-esteem is by talking positively to yourself, is by thinking of yourself as valuable and good enough. There's no failure. There's only feedback. What did you learn when you didn't perform as you expected or as you wanted? What did you learn? What takeaways do you have? What can you bring with you into the future? What can you do next time you're attempting to do the same thing? We are not born world champions. No one is. The only way you get better at stuff is by practicing. And really, if you never meet any hardship, you can't learn. So be grateful for all the rough moments, all the times when you feel like you have failed. Cancel, 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 because there's no such thing as failure. All the times you fall back into those old habits of thinking that. Remember that you're human, you're here to learn. And if you by any chance were to reach all your goals and be perfect, life would be so bad, because you can't be happy if you're not progressing. This is connected to dopamine. And if you want to know more about how the dopamine system is actually driving your behavior, you want to watch this one.